Yeah, good morning, good morning. It's 6:32. It is April 22nd, it's Monday. Take a look at the disclosure and we'll get to today's 6:30 club. All right, good morning, good morning. I hope everyone's feeling well. It is Monday. Weekend is over. Yes, new week, a lot of earnings, a lot of things to consider. You know, actually, a week or two ago is probably more important to consider things, considering that the active trend broke, a new sequence started, and if you trade for a living, you had to get out of the way. And hopefully, we helped, as I've been teaching, I don't know, for about 25 years about the 8 and 21 day moving average for when the market breaks it, you get into some kind of tactical approach, take your hard-earned money off the table, table, and let the market prove what's next. Let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world real quick. You know, I got Don in the house from Tennessee. We got Joe Repasol coming in. Ken, Ryan, what up? Shrika, Jose, what up? The Monarch Alchemist. Okay, what's up, Chris? Good morning, Belmore. Rise and grind, right? Every day is a rise and grind. You got to figure out how you want to rise and grind. Today I got actually up a little extra early. I want to do a little extra work. Wanted to get myself situated for the week and really prepare myself on multiple time frames. You know, some of you guys are like, Red Dog, you know, I've been following you for a bunch of years. I never really, you know, trade the different individual names. I just follow you on your Blood in the Street account. And yes, on Friday, it did go to work. First time in a while. Doesn't mean, you know, the market's bottom. It doesn't mean that, you know, this is it. But usually when, you know, I put the Blood in the Street account to work, we're oversold enough that people like to, you know, model it because we get some kind of 50 to 100 handle rally off of that area. And then the market figures out, you know, do we retrace further down or was that it? You know, since 2018, I've been able to put 3 tiers of it to work. It's in 4 tiers multiple times, probably like 15 times. So anyway, so I'm kind of mapping out levels for the week. So, you know, if you look here at the chart of the S&P cash, you know, what I like to do is I like to look at like where is an easy bounce and where, you know, maybe some would try and re-short, you know, if we get up there and to see how things go. So just if you guys want to write down 49.67 is where, you know, I just put one of her tiers to work. So the low is 49.53, a little bit above the 100-day. This would be one little spot. Like, first of all, we haven't been able to get above a little spot in a week. If you remember when we broke the 8 and 21-day moving average here, you know, on that Friday at 51.75, last Monday, we opened up right into resistance, and look at the sellers came in really, really, really fast and furious. Then we opened up again, got rejected. Then we opened up again, got rejected. And then every time closing on lows, opened up, got rejected, opened up, got rejected. One of these times, maybe it might get through it and we might get a better retracement. We'll see how that goes. So if we're going to retest, just say this, you know, 5,050 area, which makes some sense. You know, we have some earnings this week. You know, nothing geopolitically happened this weekend. I guess we have to get through Passover and see if Iran or any of those crazies, sorry to say, they are, you know, want to come in and bomb. After they said they're done because it's a Jewish holiday, that would create some volatility. If not, you know, I could see us bouncing back. And like I said, every time I put my wife's Blood in the Street account to work, we usually are oversold enough to get like a 100 handle rally, and that would take us to 5,050. You know, and then you have the 50-day here, and then this is when, you know, we reduced risk, and a lot of people did pretty well by, you know, putting on a lot of puts and getting excessively short. Okay, so that's there. If you look at the weekly chart, you know, again, you know, we broke, right, this upper level for the first. Remember, I pointed that out. I was here on Saturday last week because I wasn't here on Friday. I had to go to my son's lacrosse game. Showed the candle breaking the 8th day and then whoosh. So coming back to 5,050-ish, could happen. That would only be a 50% retracement of this candle. And then if they want to retest the break, which would mean probably we had some decent earnings out of Meta and Google and some of those this week, then you're talking right back up here, which would be the whole candle, but that would probably take 2 weeks. So if they sell them today, then all of a sudden we break it and we come down further. But I think that's going to be kind of hard to do. But we'll see. For me, I positioned in some SPY calls into the close also actively. So I bought some 499s, into the close. I did options, so risk is premium paid. Like I don't have a whole hell of a lot going on in my active account. Remember, I told you I have a day trading account, an active account, an options account, and a box account. Those are my 4 T3 accounts that I make a living with quarterly. And then I have my longer term Redler accounts, which is the 401k every month, inflows 403b every month for my wife's private practice, 529 every month. He's only a freshman. And then the Blood on the Street account went to work on Friday on the close. So I did buy some 499 calls for tomorrow and for Wednesday, figuring that, hey, if we get back to 501 or 504, I want to have some on. I also have a little silver left over that's getting beat up. I have a little beto left over that's getting beat up, and some uranium that's kind of hanging in there. So I don't really have a lot. When I'm in portfolio mode, I literally have 10, 15 positions on options out the yin yang. So now I'm just going to be day trading, trying to figure out what's next with this market. So with that being said, I'd rather do it from a position of flexibility, which I started over 2 weeks ago. So here are the SPYs. Right now, the SPYs are up 275. They're 498, which is so. If they want to hold up and they can't bring them in the first 15, 30 minutes like they've done every other day, you probably could still be a buyer of the SPYs. This is 498.56, which is Thursday's low. 550 right here was, yesterday is Friday's high. So this should be a zone it can get to, you would think, unless we're that weak. If we're that weak, we're that week. That's so 498. There's not a whole lot of room here. If we were open lower as a day trade, it'd be a lot easier because then you could get the rubber band lower to come back in. That's why the last week was a lot harder. Although we were down every day, we started higher. So unless you shorted every bounce, which some people did, congratulations if that's you, you made good money. So I would think at some point, like here's that 504, 505, this would be a brick wall. So if you were short and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days down and you covered most of your shorts because we were so oversold, I would think if you think we're going lower in May and June, which we might be, you probably want to reshort the market into 504, 506, and then this would be like, a real test. But that means, tech and everything's acting kind of well. What up, Seifer? How you doing? What up, the APOW in Singapore? There you go. So I would write these down and you can correlate it to different sectors. So, this would be the first spot, which I think we should be able to get to. And then this would be, a spot where if you want to start buying some puts or reshorting, thinking we go to break these lows and get down towards the prior high of 4,800 at some point, then that's your prerogative. If you look here, the Qs got really beat up. The Qs, got battered and bruised. And if you remember, which we'll get to, so this is 413.80. This broke the 100-day, while the SPYs didn't even, because the equal weight acted a little bit better. So, this is 423. This would just take back Friday's candle if we get there. Okay, and then you have the 8-day all the way here. So if you just want to short this first rally, after the size of this move lower, might not be the worst idea, but just don't start it too fast. Last Monday, guys were shorting 441, 442, and here the Qs are down at like 417 and change. So, 422 is just where we were on Friday. Might take a few days to get there. I don't know, but I'm just saying, if you're just going to short the open because it worked all of last week, you could try it. Just be careful, and then really this area is a bigger area, but that means, it's probably multiple days. If you remember, I was doing the 6:30 club on Friday at like 9 o'clock, and all of a sudden, NVIDIA started to get beat up. SMCI started to get beat up. Right there, it shows you the power of the alpha team. Because right now, the alpha team was like, oh, Redler, SMCI came out with their earnings date. And I knew because last quarter, my team was playing calls for SMCI because for some reason it was traveling around that SMCI was going to upgrade their guidance, prior to earnings. And that's when the stock went 100 and 200 points. So for them to come out and just put their earnings date, usually for a normal company, that's fine. They're not pre-announcing. But that said, that they're not pre-announcing a higher earnings. So when you have a stock that moved as much, like NVIDIA and SMCI and those guys, it was a disappointment. And you had to know that, put it together, either get out of your long or get short. I was just out of the way on both. So now what? You go to SMCI and, oops, that's not SMCI. A pretty big break, big breakaway gap to the downside, broke this neckline, went as low as what? 710. So 710 is, you support this weekend, or your what's it called? Your support pivot. The question is, how much of Friday are they going to take back? First of all, from 1229, this was a whole descending trend line that it broke above and failed. Thank goodness it's failed before that. Otherwise, some active traders might have been caught. So with that said, where's SMCI this morning? SMCI is bouncing back, probably I would say 20, 14, not a whole lot. So right now this is at 727. So it's right here at the bottom third. Okay. I would just avoid this. I'm not going to trade, going to trade. If this was lower by 20, maybe this was a good trade to go red to green from 1,000 to 700 to 30% in 3 days. But if it's opening up a little bit, you just want to fade it, be my guest. But they could push you back a little bit, into, I would say even this zone here, whatever this zone is. I haven't really been trading SMCI as much. I've obviously been trading NVIDIA, and I made a lot of money in NVIDIA in the first quarter, a lot, because it was in an active bullish sequence to the upside. And then this broke also. Okay. If you remember 974, and then it broke right here. And then every time I tried to get above a level, couldn't hold it, couldn't hold 981, and then it couldn't hold here. And then look at it below the 8-day. You're not sitting in as an active trader. And then, broke this neckline. Remember that you had one red dog reversal where it cleared, it came back up, and the next time it doesn't happen. So what's NVIDIA doing today? NVIDIA is up 18 points at 780. This is 795, right? This low here was what? This was 795. So, that'd be probably a decent size retracement. So maybe it wants to get back to there. Maybe it even wants to retest this 824 at some point. Earnings, just say on this one, aren't for a while. So, earnings are until, when's the earnings for May 22nd. So you have lots of earnings before then that's going to dictate the price here. So just be careful. I'll trade it, but again, I'm not going to look to buy this thing up 20, and I'm also not looking to fade it, after the size of the move, but maybe into like a 795, it's worth it. As far as like people like Red Dog, has Tesla been beaten down enough to buy it for Tuesday, because it comes out with earnings on Tuesday? And we've been doing a great job staying out of the way. Since 1228. I mentioned the word 1228 probably 10 times. Everyone's like, why do you keep focusing on 1228 for Tesla? It's not the 420 takeover or whatever it was. No, it's because this was when the stock reiterated its broken status and we stopped playing it to the upside. And that was at 265, and then here. Then you had a small little, retracement that broke, and then another one that retraced and broke, and now here you are. The low is 146.22. I saw somebody making a joke saying, hey, maybe like, remember when Tesla took over Solar City because it was failing or it couldn't live up to its valuation, and Tesla just took it over because Elon was allowed to do whatever he wants to do. Like, is SpaceX going to take over? Not SpaceX, whatever the hell's space company going to take over Tesla? I'm like, I don't think so. What's Tesla doing this morning? Let's see. Tesla down another 4. Oh, look at that. I think they cut prices, this and that. Look at it. Almost like Bob, if I had $1 for everyone who said, hey, well, is it down enough? Thank goodness we've been just avoiding. Listen, trends are trends. Right here, this trend made me a ton of money when it broke above the moving averages, bull flags, and then since then it's been broken. Broken stocks are broken stocks. You can't fall in love with your stocks, especially high valuation stocks that change. But anyway, So if you go to the weekly chart on Tesla, if you feel like you want to take a lotto play, yeah, I guess, here's 135. Where is it this morning? The 142. I wouldn't put a lot of money into it, but I don't even know what they could say because, their sales have been declining. Their margins are getting worse. There's more competition out there. The whole EV sector is kind of blah. So, if you want to take 150 calls because you think maybe you can get back to 160 where it broke or something, risk a little bit or do a call spread. And then if all of a sudden they do get absolutely crushed because their earnings aren't great, maybe you could buy it down closer to 101 or 108. Depends on how you want to do it. But ultimately, I feel bad for some guys out there who fell in love with it. They made so much money years ago and then just held their nose and went underwater. Have I looked at AMD? Yeah, of course. AMD, I look at it all the time with NVIDIA, with SMCI, and it's been absolutely annihilated and broken. Thank goodness we've stayed out of the way. AMD also, if you take a look at that, technically it's been broken and there's been just small little trades, but here's your red dog reversal sell. Remember that? And then pretty much it's been below all the moving averages this entire time. This has been absolutely, every time it's tried to rally, it's failed. And look at that. Below the 8-day moving average, that's when you want to be a way or a seller. Above it, it's great, and then below it, it's technically broken. And if you're a good short, you should be selling every rally or out of the way testing levels very carefully. So now what? 145.29 from, here's your 8-day. Could still get back to the 8-day. Where is it this morning? I probably think it's up $1.50 maybe with everything else. Look at that, up $1.50. I swear to God, I didn't know. Just in my head, I've been doing this since 1997. I know where the futures are. I know where things should be. But anyway, these things, since last week, you want to buy these things when they're up, you're in trouble. You're not making any money. The only way you've been able to buy them a little bit is in the hole for a trade. But again, one of these days it might change if we're oversold enough for a push. I tried that a few times last week and I lost money. Yeah, Tesla could see 105. What the hell does BWTFDIK mean, William? I don't know. I guess I'm not like a cool guy. Netflix. I'm going to toot my horn right there because Netflix came out with their earnings. They said they're not going to do subs, and right there, the stock was trading at like $5.95. I said to the Alpha team, like, you guys should be shorting this. Don't be a buyer of it. It's kind of you can have an Apple situation where their bread and butter better growth days are behind them, and it wasn't like Tesla battered and bruised just in the doghouse where they're not expecting anything. Netflix was expecting a lot. Look at the move that Netflix has had. Netflix has been trending higher. It's been one of the better go-to names, and now it's broken. Okay, now you have this pro gap. Here you had the pro gap to the upside that have followed and people made some money, and that was even hard. Now to the downside, this stock is an avoid. I would say this 640 could be even the high of the entire year, but don't quote me there. So now this is what? This is 552. I don't know. It might try and hold that for a day or two, but once it breaks that, some people might even get more short. What's this high here? This high here now is 579. If you play pro gaps to the downside after a little bit of time, this probably, trades below 552 and gets below 549. And I wouldn't be surprised if this gap gets filled before the next quarterly report down to here. So if you're a good short, maybe that's something you do. What's up, Marco? How you doing? Let me see what's Netflix doing this morning. It's down 2. It's not even bouncing with the SPYs up $3. A lot of tech is broken. I remember the last 2 quarters, everyone's like, oh, the earnings are going to be bad and just across the board. And then the earnings season was surprising to the upside. Now nobody's talking about a weaker earnings season, but meanwhile, there's been a lot of layoffs. Inflation's been sticky. So who knows? Maybe they can't do cost cuts to make up for loss in revenue. So we'll see how this earnings season goes, especially with the market a little broken. So I might be doing a little bit less. I'm not going to be throwing 10 grand into option plays to make 40 or this or that, because lately 10 grand's been harder to make unless you've been really good at shorting. I would think Meta is the one that has a good chance, to being real solid. Meta from 530 down. Okay. It's probably holding around here. It's now below the 50. It's not near the 100. Here's it still has a little bit of a gap below it. It's got two gaps below it. From I talked to two institutional guys, and they think it's going to be all right. So is all right enough for a stock that's had such a big move? I don't know. Today today's Monday. It's up $5. I wouldn't be buying it up $5. I actually got stopped out of it on this day a week ago, and this was a bad day. I looked like it was going to go, and the market was fine, and that day hurt. But better than this. Anyway, Meta's up 5 this morning at 485. Listen, a lot of room back to 530. But these things might not even have these like momentum moves on good earnings. They might just go halfway back into the range. Like if you look at Goldman Sachs and Morgan, they had great earnings reports, and they broke out, came all the way in, and then just went right back into the middle of the range. So if remember this move in Goldman, we had a great move, made good money. It broke above this spot. If you remember, this was a spot, and then came to the bottom end of the range, and then was up decently on numbers, and then they sold it, and now it's just rebuilding. I would watch these banks a little bit. They've kind of have some decent inside wedges. They're hard to trade, but so I'm for some reason I'm just really not excited about putting major money to work in any of these things, depending based on where we are in the market. Just not. So you're not going to get me to get the little FOMO-ish, even though I do get FOMO every now and then. Anyway, someone's like, Red Dog, NVIDIA is still going to be 1,400 this year. I'm like, all right, that's a big call. But anyway, so I'd watch this. This is Goldman. This is if they want the equal weight, or they want some of the rebalance stuff to do better. That's what Goldman looks like. I'm not in it right now. Morgan looks similar too. If you look at the same pattern, they put a high in, went to the low, then bounced it up, and it's not that interesting. So with that being said, enjoy your updates during lunchtime in Germany. What's up, Marius? Germany, that's cool. Listen, Germany's been, impressive pillar of strength in Europe. Anyway, hopefully, the relationship that Germany has with the U.S. and with, a lot of civilized areas, it's kind of encouraging that it's someday, maybe everyone can get along. But I'm not going to get into that. Meanwhile, these campuses across the U.S., it's friggin' horrible. I can't believe what's going on right now. I've been battling people on Twitter. I feel like I have to block 20 a day, but sometimes it's not worth speaking, which I'm not going to speak. I said this week's going to be all stocks. So what about Bitcoin? Bitcoin, held 60,000 and looks better. That bull flag turned into a range that turned back into, a decent, now it's coming into that spot that I was talking to you guys about. I said it could probably bounce back towards 67. So like everything else, it's just a range. It looked like it was ready to break above 71 and failed. Looked like it was going to break out and then, went to the bottom end of the range. Looked like it was going to break down and it didn't. So it's still consolidating. So Bitcoin over time still looks awesome and still looks like you can get your move above 73. It's just a matter of when the halving is done, and we'll see. Just so you know, there's a little scam out there that you got to be careful of. A friend of mine, had I guess a private investment, or there was a big deal with BlockFi. BlockFi, it fell apart, and then all of a sudden they want to give everyone money back. So they said they were giving you guys 25% of your investments back, and something then, a lot of them went into these Coinbase wallets and then disappeared. So somebody was tracking the numbers to the wallets where these things went and then stole them. And then if you go into Coinbase for information, they all of a sudden the scammers there. You go Google Coinbase information, takes you to some guy, in some overseas place and tries to get your bank information. So just be careful right now. If you're part of the BlockFi Coinbase, there's a lot of cryptos being stolen right now. Oscillator went out at minus like 55. So it's got some room. So I'm going to leave you one more time. Ooh, it's 656. See what happened. Just map out your levels in the SPYs and then correlate it over to Qs and whatever stocks you're trading. I would think we should be able to get up to this area even today, tomorrow, 498.50 to 500. If we can't even get up here, we go red and take this out. That's how weak we are. But I would say a high probability that we get here. And then I would say even a decent probability at some point this week, we could retest here, and that would probably be a better sell than a buy. But we'll see how it goes. Thanks for tuning in. It's Monday. I appreciate all the anniversary well wishes. I had a great weekend with my wife. Went to Governor's Island. Never been to Governor's Island, and it was awesome. Very historic. They had a spa there. They went out for a nice dinner. By the way, that huge Magnum that you guys were all saying was holy cow. That was a table left of us. They were celebrating also. They knew we were celebrating our anniversary. One of them knew who I was, the Red Dog. So they shared with us, and we had a great night. It was fun. Then took a hot yoga class and went for a run in Central Park on Sunday, and then hung out with Chase, shot some hoops, and here we are today. Balance it out, everybody. That's the way to live life, by balance. Okay. And if you ever feel out of balance, figure out what you need to do to get back in balance. Whether you're at the high end of your range for your weight, or you're drinking too many days a week, so you need to tighten that up, or if you're over trading and not prepared enough for the markets, figure out how much early you got to wake up, and don't blame anyone else. As soon as you look in the mirror and say, hey, it's my fault, that's as soon as you can make a change. I'll see you guys later.